When starting out in the gym, it can be very confusing and overwhelming, and that's because there's so many different components and elements to getting in shape. From rest and recovery, to what type of foods to eat and in what quantities, and then there's the whole training side of things. You're watching this video because you want to know how long your workout should last in the gym, so let's break it down a little further. The first thing we need to consider is what type of training you're actually doing, because if you're doing, for example, weight training, you're not going to spend the same amount of time in the gym weight training as you would something like HIIT training, high intensity interval training. You wouldn't spend the same amount of time doing those two types of exercises. For this video, we're going to break down weight training and how long your workout should last when it comes to lifting weights, and that's because this is what I talk about on this channel. The good news is I have the answer, and I am going to talk about how many sets to perform each week, so the training volume side of things, a little later in the video. But this right here is actually the answer. So how long should your workouts last? Now, a lot of people will say to you that 45 minutes, after 45 minutes, things start to happen with your hormones and androgen goes up and all of those things. That is just not true. There is no evidence really to suggest that that's the case, and there are many people that train hours and hours in the gym who do not take steroids and recover from those workouts and have no issues with sex drive and things like that. So you can't say that that is a thing. It doesn't really exist. It's not something to worry about. So having that said, how long your workout should last is as long as they take. Anytime anybody asks you how long your workout takes or how long it should take, is your workouts take as long as they take to perform. And different things can hold you up. Sometimes you have to wait for somebody to move off the machine that you want to go on, or to move off the weight section that you want to be on. And all of these things can hold you up when you're in the gym, and different workout plans take different lengths. It depends if you're doing strength training, if you're doing hypertrophy training, and even if you want to get bigger and you have no interest in strength, it doesn't mean you should never lift heavy weight. So all of these things, different rep ranges for example, all come into play. So you can't just say, okay, 45 minutes is how long it should take. Your workout should take as long as they take. You would also have to factor in your personal experience level. If you're a beginner, you might be doing maybe 6 to 9 sets per week if it's your first couple of weeks of training. But if you're an advanced lifter, you've been training 10, 20 years, you might be doing like 20 sets per week, you might be doing 18 sets per week. So the same two people can't be in the gym for the same amount of time, but we're going to talk a little bit about sets in a second. So very quickly, before we do talk about how many sets is optimal per week, I just want that mindset shift for you, so I want to go over that again. Never again focus on how long it takes. Think about performing the optimal amount of sets relative to your experience level. That's how I want you to change your mindset. I don't want you thinking about how long it takes or how long it could take. Always think about, okay, what is the optimal sets that I need to perform, the optimal weekly volume for me to get the best results. I just want to jump in here really quickly and say that if you've got any value so far from this video and think that this type of channel might help you accomplish your goals, then consider clicking the subscribe button, and there's a little bell as well. If you click that little bell, you'll be notified every time I upload a new YouTube video. Now we want to talk about how many sets you should perform per week based on your experience level. This is just a rough guide so you guys can get a feel for where you should be at. So if you're a beginner and let's say you've been training under 1 year, I recommend around 9 sets per week. So you can split that up any way you want to. For me, I would split that up into 3 full body workouts. So that'd be 3 sets per body part, 3 times a week would be 9 sets at the end of the week. If you've been training 2 to 3 years, that's sort of get into intermediate range, and I recommend anywhere between around 12 sets and maybe up to around 15 sets per week if you're close to the 3-year mark. If you've been training 4 or more years, then anywhere between the 15 to 18 sets per week range, and anything above 4 years, I still wouldn't go any higher volume than that because it really doesn't help. Just remember that these recommendations are based on your consistency level and your work ethic. If you're somebody that's not actually staying consistent with your plan and you've been going to the gym for 3-4 years, but you only go once every couple of weeks, that doesn't really count. This is really for people who are being consistent.